Welcome back to the NLC. We can't get into this first game quick enough. Granit versus Fnatic Rising. Return of the Academy teams, baby. Gulberg. Excited to see both of these ones go head-to-head.
I really am. I obviously have some Danes I'm very interested in Bybwa and in Muta as well. Speaking of being a former coach, yeah, Bybwa was on my academy team back then, so obviously I'm very happy to see him up here perform as well. But I will say, going up against Fnatic is going to be a very different task. Last time they played against BTXL, which was kind of out of form, rather. But this time around, they're playing against Fnatic, who's been very scary.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So I think it's going to be a different beast when it comes to taking on Fnatic in comparison to that BTXL that they did play a few weeks back. I think whilst individually, we've definitely seen some pretty strong performances, particularly out of Hesero, in my opinion. I think he's been having some pretty strong games recently. It's going to be hard to lane into someone like Pride, who's been one of the more consistent performers in my eyes in the Fnatic Rising roster. So into picks and bans, Zinzara moved away. I think Maxi first picked it last week as well on Tuesday. Just a champion that's risen really, really high in priority. It's very, very powerful. We know about all of the time buying it can grant in some of these team fights in the backline and all the early priority and pressure it can bring to lanes too.
In this meta, we see a lot of the same kind of bans going through. The Lucian's a little bit interesting, no, Gulberg?
I mean, Lucian's fine. Febby's been very favoring towards that one, but I'm looking at Fnatic's Rising bans as well, because they're getting rid of the Seraphine, a ban you usually don't see on red side anymore. They're getting rid of Karma. Yeah, that is meta right now. But it is just because Muta plays such a facilitating style of champions in that mid lane. His most played champion, solo queue, is Seraphine as well.
That's right.
Baybro, even back in the days, used to play Seraphine as well. So this is one of the teams that's actually capable of flexing that. So you can see that is just something a lot of teams are banning out against Granit. It is like this unique style we sometimes get in the RLs where some teams just have an OTP that, yeah, you would probably be able to counter it, but why bother? Why not just take that comfort away from them and then just beat them on fair meta ground?
Yeah, 100%, especially if you don't necessarily get to scrim against those champions on a more frequent basis as well. You don't have to deal with that on stage. Like in the UKLC, there's a player, I think, on Enclave who's a Nunu OTP. Enclave always catch Nunu bans for that reason, so Seraphine being banned away, it makes sense. And Akali first pick, it's made it through for Granit now, so expecting Muta, but it could obviously be to Hesero as well. And Fnatic Rising, pick the, you've got the Ezreal up if you want it, you just saw the Renekton hover as well. I think that wouldn't be such a bad 1-2 in my opinion for this red side draft. Though the Lulu hover's been there for a while, I think we will see that Renekton just because it's such a strong answer into Akali in the lane.
Yeah, I mean, both mid laners can already play it. I think Renekton is one of the most picked and banned champions in this meta, just in competitive regions as well. Nocturne is up there with him as well. Nocturne obviously still up and available, so Maxi has been favoring the Rumble a lot, yeah, and there we go. So now you already have that nice damage profile where you can get an AD mid lane as well. We know Febby, all right, if he's not getting Dilution, we have seen him on the Jace as well, which he's kind of used to be a bit famous for back in the day as well. So right now, Fnatic Rising, they're really getting a lot of meta picks that is just favoring them in their composition already.
I mean, we've seen Febby on the Renekton this season as well, so it could even be flexed down towards that mid lane. The Nidalee being picked up, a very aggressive jungler, gets that AP damage coming through as well, but we'll have to see what Granit Gaming decide to round out their first round of picks with. Jamada, is there anything that you'd really love to see that's still very powerful and not taken?
I think Ezreal at this point. I think you just have to probably lock in an AD source at the very least anyway. One, it's up. Two, it's really strong into champions like Rumble and Renekton, but they've actually taken away the Leona. They don't have to deal with that as a potential combination because Fnatic Rising are on the red side. They wouldn't have to ban out AD carries. They could just quite easily hold 2 AD bans and then still get priority pick on R4. But instead, now it's Fnatic Rising that will just take the Ezreal away pretty happily, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you already have a stylistic where you want to play for your solo laners right now. So either you grab the Thresh or you grab the Ezreal. Thresh would have been fine as support weak side into the Leona. Could just keep that lane safe. You can go for Aphelios. You can go for low mobile AD carries with no agency. But obviously, you can also just go for the Ezreal and just have agency to get away with that mobility. So right now, from the side of Fnatic Rising, they can decide to trim out the AD carry pool. They can decide to trim up some of the solo laners they don't want to be facing if they need to pick another AD mid laner, if that's melee themselves as well.
That's the thing, because with the champions that Granit have locked in, they're relatively static, right? You've got Leona in support, Nidalee in jungle, Akali's a solo laner. So realistically, if Fnatic feel uncomfortable with dealing with certain AD carry matchups, they can just remove them. I think the only thing you could maybe see removed here as an AD carry ban is something like Kalista or okay, they don't even care about it, so they're just going to go straight into the Zero champion pool with the Wukong and Set. So, aggressive picks are like the only thing sort of for Granit, in my opinion. You could look at Varus, I would imagine. There's still like probably the highest option into something that can't necessarily contest priority early, like the Ezreal.
I'm very confused that the Thresh was left open still. I feel like Thresh over Braum would probably have been the better ban here. But obviously, there is the Warriors that you set yourself available. I'm looking on towards Bible, and I'm thinking myself, all right, I've seen you in the past be happy about a Vayne into Ezreal matchup. I've seen you wanting resources on the Jinx. I'm wondering now, are you going for the standard meta Varus? Or are you saying, all right, I want the hyper carry with the Kai'Sa Vayne here instead?
Vayne wouldn't be too bad here at the moment. There's no like hard point and click CC outside of the Renekton, and you can kind of deal with that if you're Vayne for the most part. So I like the highlight on that pick. I'm not sure whether we'll see it. I think we probably get a more lane dominant champion, but there you go. We are going to see the Vayne locked in for Vavoror. I think this is going to be a pretty exciting pick to look at. And now I look over to Fnatic Rising and say, how are you going to shut down this Vayne pick? Because whenever Vayne's in the game, she sort of almost automatically puts on this sort of artificial timer sometimes where it's like, okay, if we don't end the game at some point, Vayne is always going to be a permanent problem to deal with in almost every single team fight. And now I want to see how Granit are maybe going to sort of round out their comp to facilitate this. It looks like they're just going to add on to another diver. So a very aggressive team comp coming out from Granit here. I think they've got, a pretty neutral top side, assuming Renekton goes into this Pride. Renekton goes onto Pride. And then in the mid lane, I think Fnatic Rising. For Febby, I want to see something aggressive, man. Maybe, I don't necessarily want to see maybe LeBlanc. I think Jace could handle the Akali well in lane. We'll have to see those times tick.
And
I think Jace here for me would be the go-to, but it is actually going to be the LeBlanc here. And that can still work. Remember, Rumble's Electro Harpoon does remove some of that magic resist as well. So beforehand, you'd usually say, oh, we have an AP jungler with an AP mid laner. They're just going to build magic resist. But when you get Rumble in the midst of it all, it's very much more forgiving rather than going up against someone who just stacks a mind runes and you're going to have a hard time killing them. So this can work. And Febby on an assassin versus the Akali can be quite scary if they take over in the 2v2 matchup.
Jamada, I'm going to give this one to you. Is there a team composition that you'd like to break down for us? Tell us exactly what you think is going to happen with it.
I mean, I think for me, I'm looking at the Granit composition, and I worry a bit for indecision in terms of what lane he truly has to play around. I think he's maybe going to be shoehorned into playing for the top side, though. You've got a pretty strong bottom lane matchup realistically, so I think he's going to have to sort of pick between the two. My only worry is sort of the mid lane priority, because typically for Nidalees into Rumbles, you want to get aggressive into the Rumble, right? But without mid lane priority, that gets a lot more difficult, especially when you've got a mid lane champion like LeBlanc, who honestly enjoys skirmishing a lot. She's got so much damage early on, so I think there's going to be a bit of troubles there for Granit. But if Indecision can actually attack one of these lanes on a consistent basis, I think they can get through to the mid game and then bridge onto the late game for this Vayne to sort of start to take over.
Well, I think we've got a couple of really exciting teams. It's a shame that we don't have a couple of really exciting casters, but we do have Hitbrain Orc standing by. Take it away, lads.
God damn. All right, I'll take that one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the caster desk. We're getting ready to go into our first game of the day. And I'm very excited right now because I've made it quite obvious that I'm a bit of a LeBlanc fan, and one of the people who got me into LeBlanc all those years ago was actually Febiven. So he's now pulling out the LeBlanc. I am so excited to see him pilot this champion. This is a pretty good matchup for him on that as well. So, I could probably talk about his mid lane matchup, but Orcs, I'm going to let you just go off and talk what you want to talk about here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, LeBlanc's kind of came back to the meta, not because of some sort of massive innate champion strength, but because she just absolutely dumps as Akali. Big reason, obviously, range in the money matchup is always going to be a positive, but you have so much threat. Not many champions can actually lock Akali down, but if you do connect with your chains, you can't just shroud to negate it. You maintain vision when the chain is connected and when it roots, and it allows you to consistently fire that combo off. And one of the issues with LeBlanc sometimes is that she struggles to find priority against a lot of mages. In this meta, and particularly up against Akali, you're not going to have that problem. So expect to see Febiven really bullying Muta in this situation. And I'm not only concerned about Muta, but the knock-on effect to the other lanes as well, and particularly the jungle matchup, because both of these are high-tempo junglers. And if one of them has a much higher amount of priority, which Fnatic Rising definitely should do in the mid lane, it's going to make it a big difference.
Okay, so mid lane we're expecting the prio there. But what are we thinking about their bot lane, their top lane when we're talking prio? Because it's not just about mid, it's depending on what side of the map they're on, things can move from other lanes as well. So where are we looking kind of prio in that sense then?
So top lane, Aatrox is able to get prio early because obviously he can use his Q 3 times, and Renekton isn't the best at contestants, but he's got a couple of levels, although it is a bit more even than, for example, mid lane. Bot lane, Bean and Rux can actually find priority there. Tom Kench's level 1 is really good, as is Ezreal. So essentially, if Indecision wants to secure a Scuttle Crab, he wants to be moving towards top side. But as I'm saying this,
no, Wixo locked down and falling. This is first blood for Maxi. Okay, well, this jungle matchup just got a little bit more lopsided.
Yeah, and I believe Pride stunned him there, which if he does have his W, which, he must have to do that stun, yeah. So that means Zero easily going to find priority on the top side. For Indecision, I'd like to see him try and play for that top side Scuttle, because you're not going to get the bottom side Scuttle. There is really very little chance of that happening.
Well, as Maxi makes his way over towards the top side to start on his red buff, will be spotted out by this ward that's been placed down by Granit. But it does look like both of these junglers will be starting on the top side of the map and clearing downwards, which means they will be playing towards the bot side. So this bot lane contest is going to be pretty big here. I want to see Fnatic Rising try and get a bit more pressure in. That means Indecision may have to think about his pathing a little bit more.
Yeah, Max actually needs a pretty big leash here because of that invade, he didn't actually get to overheat. So when you're playing Rumble, what you typically do is you start your scrap shield and you just spam it off cooldown constantly. And when doing that, you can just generate a tiny bit of heat over time. And by doing that, you're able to overheat, you get your passive procced, and then it does so much damage to the camps, particularly a single camp like the red buff. So a little bit slower on that one, but it won't really make too much of a difference thanks to the leash coming out from Pride and mid lane. You can already see what's happening here.
Yeah, Muta's just getting heavily bullied. I didn't see if Febby leveled Chain second or what, so I'm assuming
he leveled his Q second, and I believe he has. Oh no, he's got Q.
No, he started Q. He started Q. A lot of LeBlancs will start Q.
Yeah, I've seen some go the W for the sort of like W into auto, but I guess in this situation, you don't really want to get up close to Akali.
Yeah, just kind of range harass with Q in this matchup. Doesn't mean obviously you can't dash forward for that. Well, now you can dash forward. You got the distortion. There it is. There's the chain. That's the combo we're talking about. Baby running the teleport, playing a little bit more for the team. So Muta probably quite lucky that there's no ignite on this LeBlanc matchup. He's going to get pretty heavily bullied here. With this prio, the pings actually went down. Maxi is actually looking for a potential invade on this chicken camp. Febby has supplied vision thanks to the ward over the wall. So Maxi knows this camp's here. He knows that his LeBlanc's in the area and ready to trade. And
yeah,
not really much Muta can do about it.
This is a difference it makes. It gives Maxi this window. Typically, Nidali wants to be hitting the high speed in terms of camp clearing, wants to be looking to contest skulls, potentially invading herself. Because of this limiting matchup in the mid lane, you aren't able to do so.
Making life really hard as the crab spawned up, and actually Pride has gone and secured the crab in the top lane, while Maxi secures the bot lane crab. So both the crabs now get the side from the decision. You hit on about how these junglers need to keep the momentum, they need to keep that tempo going, and definitely very favored towards Fnatic Rising's Maxi right now, because Indecision's cleared out all of his camps. Maxi still has his entire bot side to clear. There's no camps or Indecisions to take here. He's going to come through. See if he can find a gank, though. That might be his next opportunity to get back into this. So Pride has to be a little bit careful. He's playing quite far up here, holding that slice and dice, but Zero's going to chum in. There's the spear, and Pride needs to look to jump a flash away, able to do so.
So this was really poor from Pride in this situation. There's no reason you need to step up there. There's a big wave stacked against you. You know it's going to be coming into you. And essentially, it's just very greedy. Like, your jungler's on the other side of the map. He shouldn't have had to burn his flash there. And now he's just got in for another trade, got chunked out again. He's actually at risk of being dived in this situation.
Now that power shot onto his Zero may be pretty big here. So the spear's going to connect. The teleports are coming in, and Indecision's locked down. The tower shot we flashed away from, and here comes Febby with the flash, with the chains and the Sigil of Malice. The smite is there. Barox is over the wall, and Feathervin secures the kill. It's a 1-for-1.
Yeah, and obviously nice for Feathervin to be able to pick up that kill, but this gives them free time to Muta in the mid lane, so there is a cost to that 1-for-1 trade from Fnatic Rising. And it's going to highlight this is purely down to Pride being over-aggressive, not respecting the fact that he is on weak side. I mean, caught out by that one, but Indecision, Unfortunately, because we saw Hezero so low, he's forced the tank. Does manage to get out before taking that second tower hit, but Febiven commits the flash. He knows the dash is down from Indecision. He knows the flash is unavailable. There's no way he's dodging that, and is able to clean up that kill. And you see, he's now reset and picked up a lost chapter. So this LeBlanc already looking really strong.
Pride's going to deal with this mid wave. Febby will be coming back into this lane, though. Going to send the Renekton back up to the top side as Muta quite happily farming up, able to somewhat make up this CS deficit. Is missing a couple of minions underneath his tower, but he's okay.
I mean,
hasn't quite got that 6 mark yet.
That's the cost of this TP top lane, is that you lose that pressure that Febiven had built up. And yes, Febiven's perfectly happy taking that kill, don't get me wrong, but it does give Muta some breathing room. Now, we do see that Maxi just looking to move down towards that bot side. I think an early dragon could potentially be on the cards, because I just don't think there's too much you can do to contest on this bot side right now for Indecision.
Oh, Febby has to be a little careful here. There goes Muta in with the turn around. The teleports on. Febby just pulls him back. He flashes forward, misses the chains. Well, that is going to be it. As Indecision now making his way up again into the top lane. Pride still not got level 6, and Hezero has the World Ender. There are no more teleports. Pride is about to get dove here. Kitty Cat comes out, able to dodge on the spear as Hezero takes a tower shot. That may be a little bit of time for Pride to try and make the runaway here. Goes for the slice, but meanwhile in the bot lane, action's breaking out. Teleports are coming down, and it's already Wixo going low. Maxi's able to find the kill, but Muta comes in with the shuriken flip, with the tidy up. No! Rux eats him. The heals have come through, and Muta's found the kill. Febiven unable to clear the wall, but he's got the blast cone. He's going to be joining in. Muta gets a double kill, but Febby secures the next one. And now Baybroar on the run. A massive minion waves crashing, and this will be the end of days. Double sigil comes down, and Febby secures the kill.
Yeah, Febby able to roam down and clean up on that one. Actually started to look like Granit was able to turn it around, but as soon as LeBlanc shows up, she's able to pick up those kills. That being said, we do see Muta picking up 2 for himself, so there's Akali getting some much needed gold.
Well, Pride once again on the receiving end of a kitty cat. Goes this for the slice, has no dice, able to dodge the spears. Indecision takes 2 tower shots. And honestly, Pride should have died a few more times than he has, but due to the fact these tower shots are coming in, it does feel like they get forced off a little bit.
This is kind of the scenario you're forced in. This is something I had concerns about in the drafting phase. Not too much setup for the Nidalee, but for that, we'll have a look at this replay. So Wixo just focused down early, but the Akali joins, and it's actually a really nice play coming out from Rox, but also a bit of a misplay from Muta using that second ult charge when Maxi was inside. They managed to finish off Maxi in the end, but then here, not really much you can do against Febiven. And I love the patience in this situation, not taking aggro too early. You have a massive wave. Just wait till the last moment and instantly pop the vein.
Lovely stuff there. 3-0-1 now on this LeBlanc. I've now got the Mercury Treads picked up by Muta, who's got 2 kills from that play, so definitely also in the running, but is down 30 CS right now. Is starting to feel a little bit of the pressure here as Fnatic. They're going to try and just pick up this Rift Herald. I don't think there's going to be any contest from Granit. Nothing they can really do other than just watch this one go down.
Yeah, and Indecision just, I mean, he's tempted in the top lane, but as I was saying before, one of the things with Nidalee is you really want to have easiest land hard CC. That's why Renekton Nidalee is such a strong combo, because the Renekton can use that point and click stun. Nidalee almost is guaranteed a spear to land, and then you can follow up with that damage. But we've seen Hezero can't really do anything to hold Pride in place, and that was the only lane which Granit can really play through. Mid lane, not really an option, and bot lane is just so safe for Fnatic Rising with Ezreal Tahm Kench.
Yes, it's just such an irritating lane to punish. Like, how do you actually deal with that? Like, you have to CC the Tahm Kench and hope that Ezreal also kind of misplays his E. But they may look for him here as they get the condemn. It's against the wall, so he's locked down, and Bean flashes to safety, but he is still going to feel the pain as that is a kill picked up by Wixo.
Yeah, and I've just been told that I misspoke. While we did move down bot lane, apparently Pride did actually get picked off in that gank, so Indecision able to make it work in the top side. And now with that kill onto Bean, they feel confident going for this dragon, but Febiven is fishing.
He's looking for it. Remember, he's got a lot of damage here. Muta needs to be a little bit careful. Going to hold out on the chains, and Fnatic actually going to cool this off for now as the True Shot Barrage comes in a little bit too late. Febiven decided not to go for the play. His team weren't quite in the right position. Didn't want to give away his shutdown. Just calls it there.
I mean, so far, Hezero is in a pretty comfortable spot on the top side. pretty far ahead in this matchup. They can obviously look to continue to snowball. They have those 2 plates in pocket. And honestly, when it gets to sort of the later stages of the game, I'm looking at this composition from Granit, and you have the Akali, who's honestly just been such a monster throughout the game. Currently in pro play. Vayne obviously navigates pretty well. And something with Fnatic Rising's composition is they don't have too much CC to lock you in place for that equalizer. If Baybro is able to keep Pride at a distance, doesn't get hit by any chains from the LeBlanc, quite difficult to keep him in place so he gets toasted by the equalizer.
Well, Febby goes back to lane, continues to push and bully Muta a little bit here, but Muta with those 2 kills, definitely feeling a lot more comfortable as Febby. It's a disgusting trade-off there, and Maxi's going to summon the Rift Herald here in the mid lane side. They're going to try and pick up a bit of gold into Bean. This tower will go down, and this will be first tower blood. Give as much gold over to Bean as possible, as well as the rest of the team do step away, so Bean gets a bunch of the local gold. Nice play there by Fnatic.
At a 2k gold lead, you can see mid lane and AD carry, there's about 1,000 gold lead. Jungle as well, so Fnatic Rising able to accrue pretty substantial leads that carries in this game. Top lane is their only major deficit, but again, you're not too concerned. Renekton has a job that he can do quite comfortably. And we see Baybro looking to freeze in this situation, just looking to farm up. It's commonly a thing on AD carries to do this, to set up a freeze in the scenario, but Vayne particularly, I think back to those times where Double Lift would just sit in a side lane until he's fed enough to carry. But it looks like he's just setting that up for his teammates. Actually, no, he is setting out for himself, so he's going to return bot lane. And not wanting to opt into the fight, which I think is a fair call. You look across at Bean with the Divine Sundra, really strong right now. I wouldn't feel comfortable to contest that for now. I think Hashiro is much better equipped.
Maxi getting jumped onto, but they are able to step away from this action. No Rift Herald up quite yet. They are just going to shut the wave in, and that's going to be denied from his heroes. Pride takes the spear, and he now needs to be very careful. Decision probably capable of doing a fair amount of damage to him as he lands a spear onto Bean as well.
The team's trying to contest this River Vision, but Granit really not able to push in too far. You see on the other side of the map that Febiven is looking for the Vayne.
Oh, they interrupted Rux, I think. He had to flash over the wall, but Febby's coming in, misses the chains. And Baybro able to survive. Febby burned the flash there as well.
Yeah, that's...
He's going to go in once again. He's annoyed. Oh, the condemned by Baybro is big. Febby gets flashed on the shutdown.
What a play coming out from Baybro. The confidence. Febiven oversteps and disrespects the Vayne, and even the taunt on the back end.
Oh,
that is flexing. Just took down Febiven. That's a highlight reel play.
Febiven felt so comfortable. He had the Ludens, but missed the chains twice in a row, and that cost him his life. Exhaust playing huge there for Baybro. Just look at it again. It was just flawless.
Yeah, so WR forwards, the condemn into the wall. The exhaust comes down as well, and at that point, there was no real damage available for Febiven on the back end. And do you see that clap on Baybro?
Febby's mad. Febby wants his money back.
Yeah, you ain't getting out of this one.
Equalizers down. This time, setting up the sigil. Febiven getting the kill, but the shutdown has already been collected, my friend. This was not the optimal play for you.
And that's the thing with this Vayne in the later stage team fights, things like the LeBlanc can actually struggle to take you down if you're able to tumble correctly. You avoid that big burst damage, and then they don't have the sustained damage to cut through you. Already, Baybro has picked up that shield bow, so a lot of survivability on the Vayne, even after just one item.
Might be one Crocodile in for a bit of hurt as Wixo flashes over. Pride just slices and dices away to safety. 13 minutes on the clock. We can take a stock of where we are item-wise now, because the Immortal Shield Bow's now been picked up, which, you know, does make Febby's life a little bit harder. Got Divine Thunder and Luden's Echo and Proto Belt onto Fnatic. Then the Gore Drinker also on his Zero. So Fnatic still got themselves a gold lead. You can see that kind of reflected in the items as Febby just continues to be a bit of a nuisance to the Granit members.
Still 2k gold lead for Fnatic Rising here. And I'd expect Dragon to be the sort of next objective to lean towards. I still feel like Fnatic Rising, not just the gold advantage, but also the spikes they're currently on, put them in a pretty good spot. On top of that, things like the Rumble Equalizer, a lot of value in this situation. So if we do see Granit wanting to contest this one, you have to be a bit cautious. And honestly, at this point, you have one Dragon. This is only going to be Fnatic's first. I would be completely fine with them just stacking this one and potentially looking to establish some vision around the top side near that Herald. Perhaps that's your objective. You opt to contest instead. Keep your mid tower alive, because if Fnatic do secure that Rift Herald, they'll just smash down your mid tower, and that really opens up the map.
Yeah, Fnatic, though, for the moment, do have primarily most of the vision in this area. It's very minimal vision by both teams, but Fnatic do have a couple extra wards.
Yeah, so
just from a pure numbers standpoint, Fnatic are in a better position. But yeah, they're going to be able to take this dragon. Riftel's now getting collapsed onto. They do have an Abyssal Voyage by Rux. So remember, it's not just Fnatic who can crack mid tower with this Riftel. It is also Granit with the collapse. Maybe coming in. Pride can go over with the blast cone. He's waiting for the rest of the team. The equalizer is up. Rift Herald's going a little bit low, half health. Fnatic actually just going to get away with both of the objectives here. There's no real way for Granit to contest.
Granit could still look to fight this if they wanted to. There is that option, and you can see Fnatic are a bit tentative about corralling themselves into the pit and being clapped on.
Wixo goes in. Wixo needs to be careful as he's going to take a lot of damage on the tail end, and Maxi secures the kill. Here comes the teleport, but it's a little bit too little. It's a little bit too late. Catfish on the hook of the Infernal Chains. He's able to break the line and get away.
Yeah, I mean, it's an Ezreal with a Tahm Kench. You're never killing Bean there, so really no purpose to go in that situation. Wixo making a bit of a mistake there, which will give a ton of pressure over to Fnatic Rising. And now they can take the Herald. They don't even need their 5 members grouped. It'll just be Maxi picking up this solo, and the laners can just push the waves in and look to get a pretty optimal reset for themselves. So bit of a mistake there from Wixo. I do still think that when Fnatic are grouped like that, they probably didn't want to take a full 5v5, but giving them a free B pick, obviously going to make Fnatic a lot more confident.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see Febi's now gone down to the bot lane to go deal with that wave. Putting their AD carry in the mid lane with Bean, but Return now secured. Teleport's coming in. Just going to reset and pick up the next steps towards their major items. Manamune on the way here for Bean. Getting fairly close. It's just business as usual for Fnatic. Keep himself ahead, and they're now just executing on that. Can Granit find an opportunity to punish? And it looks like Pride might be that way through. Where he's going to crash in, and 4 members of Granit are here. Pride's in for a whole world of hurt. There you go. Stun against the wall. Gets the heal off. Pride actually doing a lot of damage. This is just taking tower shots. Pride gets away. The solar flare, not enough to finish him up. I thought he was just going to get popped. I was dead wrong.
It was just, honestly, a pretty big misplay there, because the person who has the best damage for taking out Pride is the Vayne. But Baybro actually took aggro first with the Condemn for no reason. You wait for the Leona to CC and then you follow up. As a result, they didn't have enough follow-up damage to finish him out. And on the other side, we do see Zero.
Yeah, he goes in for the flash onto Febi, but Febi connects the chains and Maxi will toast him. One last flame splitter. Here comes Muta, though, maybe looking for a bit of a follow-up as Febi just pings back to safety. Ulti goes a little bit wide. Maxi uses the stopwatch, and Febi fails the distortion, and the chains force the flash.
A lot of misplays there
in the bot lane.
A lot of misplays across the map, ultimately. You see Febi face planting into the wall. Muta, the second ult, not even connecting at all. And as I was saying before, big misplay coming out from Granit when they went for that dive. Just a bit sloppy from both sides, but ultimately Fnatic Rising will come out ahead. We did see the Herald thrown down mid, as was expected. Because no one was there to defend, they not only got that mid lane tier 1, they got the mid lane tier 2, and they got a charge from the inhibitor tower. So a lot of damage done to Granit structures, and it really frees Fnatic up on the map, pushing deep, establish vision control, and also threaten picks with that LeBlanc.
Well, got the Void Blighting Jewel. That's what it's called. The Blighting Jewel. Void Staff on the way for Febi. Fairly cheap item. Nice power spike as well. Gives you a little bit kind of more from that passive on your Ludens. We're approaching the 20-minute mark. Next Dragon's going to be up in 1 minute, and both of these teams are going to want that Infernal. Infernal is a really, really nice Elder Soul, whatever you call it. Man, I am having a brain fart right now. It's a really good soul to get. Yeah, right. Literally right this moment, and never ever again. I never fumble. What are you on about?
Don't know what you're talking about.
The Elder Dragon.
A for men, B for bad. A for excellent, was it, Jake?
Yeah, no, we don't talk about that. I'm happy that everyone decided to make lots of memes about that as well. Cheers, guys.
Honestly, I mean, I said this at the time, but it would have been such a banger if you just like done it intentionally. It was the fact you were like,
I should have just played it off, yeah. But I caught myself when I'm an idiot. I should have just played it off. Gulborg wouldn't have caught it. Yeah, I know. Gulborg wouldn't have caught it as well. I would have got away with that. Guarantee it.
Played yourself.
Anyway, Dragon coming up. It looks like Fnatic are going to be first in the area, although there are a couple of wards.
I think Granit should just sack this one. You look at the power spikes coming out from Fnatic Rising. Bean is about to get his Manamune fully stacked and the Divine Tundra. I don't think he can contest this one. Unless you find a pick right now, just back away, play for the later Drakes. It's only going to be second for Fnatic Rising. Picking up that early Ocean actually pretty valuable for the start of Granit.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to get a little bit more gold onto Babor. He's going to have that Phantom Dancer finished up fairly soon. And yeah, Fnatic going to be able to pick up this Dragon.
Typically, the time where Vayne really starts to come online isn't so much based around her damage items, because she has core items that she wants to complete for sure. But it's really when she starts to be able to opt into more defensive options that she really can flourish. Because one of the issues with Vayne, she's a bit short range, can be a bit vulnerable, particularly into a composition like this. But once you have some defensive options, it allows you just to focus on getting that DPS out, that consistent damage, because that's the thing with Vayne's kit. It's kind of similar to Kog'Maw in that sense when we've seen those tankier builds recently. Their kits just have so much damage innately, you know, and you want to complete your core items to help that out. But ultimately, survivability is a pretty critical thing, which is why we see the likes of a shield bow instead of a Kraken Slayer for Vayne's.
It's interesting as well because Ezreal's kind of in a similar spot where like he also can build defensive at the moment. I don't know if that's just the fact that him and Miramana and Divine Thunder is just a disgusting combo, but he can get a Frozen Heart for armor, and that just gives him damage as well.
Yeah, I think
it's
it's kind of how broken ability haste with him is, how good Divine Thunder is because it gives HP and some great stats, but also just like in this skirmish focused meta with a lot of like threats like your Akali's, your Blancs, things like Lee Sin and all that, being a tank AD carry really valuable.
They engage onto Bean, but Rux instantly gobbles him up and spits him back out. Babor flashes into his face. The exhaust has gone down, and being able to kite away. Hazir and Febby have joined into the fray. Here comes Pride as Febby's onto that side for the moment, and Bean's going to try and get assassinated out by Muta. He's able to finish up the kill though, and now everyone on Granit is being chased. Here comes the Catfish. Wixo not going to be able to do too much as Bean secures himself a double kill, make it a triple kill. Babor's going to have to make some real work happen here, unable to do so. That was a beautiful fight for Fnatic. They get the ace.
Yeah, Granit just not able to find the momentum. It's a pretty heavy engage for Ezreal, but you have sums on Ezreal, sums on Tahm Kench, and those two in tandem are so hard to find a convincing engage on. Babor does his best, but actually a critical moment happened in the fight where he wasn't able to get the restart on his ult. And Fnatic then just going to turn straight out of that Baron.
There's no way to contest it. This Baron is a freebie for Fnatic Rising. 22 minutes on the clock. Make it 23 as we tick over. Good team fight into a Baron. That's going to be a lot of gold spent here as the gold lead has just ballooned right now. So we have a look at the fight once again.
So hard to find this engage and make it work, especially with the equalizer coming slow. But watch Babor here. So he goes in, gets zoned away by the Tahm Kench, so has to back off. Renekton then comes in. Good job of using the Condemn. But again, it's just about this point where his ult times out and he doesn't get a reset on the Renekton. And that actually makes a massive difference here because if he had that still available, he has more AD, potentially able to find more windows into this fight. But Bean does a beautiful job of kiting away. Rux as well buys more time. And even though Babor is putting out a decent amount of damage, it's not enough to finish anyone off other than Pride. And Fnatic Rising just win out on the rest of the fight. Granit are really relying on this Vayne just to have that sustained DPS in these fights.
And you can see the gold graph on your screen. Now 7,000 in favor of Fnatic Rising. The more have now been finished up for Bean. You got the Medjais on to Maxi. Febby not going for a Medjais after having a bit of a fumble underneath his very tower earlier on in the game. But now Fnatic looking just to siege, looking to try and take some towers and just look to open up the base really here for Granit as Bean does take him. Sorry, Febby does take a spear to the face.
It's so hard to force anything though, because realistically, Maxi is Zonya's. We've got stopwatch on both Febiven and Bean, and they're so mobile, and a Tahm Kench as well. They're going to try for the engage though.
Solar Flare's been thrown down. Wixo's trying to get onto Febby, but Febby's able to take him out as Rux eats up Bean. The True Shot Barrage goes wide, but Indecision will lose his life, and here comes the backup. Can Muta save the day? His team's already down. He is already locked down and shut down, taken down for Fnatic Rising. Find themselves their second ace, a double kill onto Bean. with the Baron in their pocket, with everybody on Granit dead. I think this might just be game, Orcs.
Yeah, too hard to find an engage window there and too far behind in gold. Granit did try in this one. Did make it close for a little bit, but Fnatic pretty overwhelming in this victory and will be able to close out this game.
Oh, only able to take one tower from now. It looks like Granit might be able to hold. Just cannon minion, just continue to fire at the tower. That cannon minion, man.
I feel like they actually could have ended. Like, if they just pushed, if they took that inhibitor, like, the actual carry is only spawning now, and they take those structures really fast. I mean, I'm not going to discredit them. They're miles ahead. Why risk it when you're 11k gold up? But, you know, I think they could have ended there, which is why I made the call. But apparently Fnatic, you know, they want to dot the I's, cross the T's. Probably going to move over towards the top side of the map and apply some pressure here. They could pick this dragon up on the way, but not really necessary, as they should just be able to close out without it.
I don't think Soul's going to be a problem against them. I don't think they're going to be able to pick it up right now. So Fnatic quite happy just to play this out on the waves as Wixo doesn't actually see what Febi's about, as Babel has the final hour.
Yeah,
that's now the ultimate burn.
And that's the thing, like, Febiven burn basically nothing there. Gets the ultimate from Babel, and that's a huge factor in their team fighting power just gone. And I don't think you got enough time to wait around for a second one of those. Maybe just, but Dark Rising is starting to push that top lane tower. Pings are coming out to defend. It's going to be the last Hail Mary likely for Granit. And you do see the decision is opting to go for that dragon. I'm not sure you have time to do that.
I mean, look at the damage coming out from Bean. His zero just getting chunked. Fnatic able to take that final tower in the top side. This is the only tower not inside the base. His indecision will finish up that dragon. Maybe that little bit of bonus AD might help, as Bean able to dodge away.
Ask you, Jake.
Yep.
Infernal Dragon for Nexus is a worthy trade.
I mean, at this point, I guess you're just padding seasonal stats. Yeah. I mean, that's as good as it's going to get here. Fnatic able to take the final inhibitor. All three inhibs down. One tower remains in this game as Bean just true shots barrages through. The equalizer's laid, and a good solar flare does come down as Pride actually goes a little bit low. Febi comes in with a double distort. Indecision's caught, and Muta goes in, trying to get out onto Febi. Febi able to get a kill off onto the Nidalee. That is a decision down. 3 members of Granit remain as the tongue lashes coming in. Muta goes for a sugar flip, misses it onto Maxi. Bean is now dominating. Babor is chunked, and Fnatic Rising in dominating fashion will be closing this game out as the Nexus goes down at 27.5 minutes.
Yeah, pretty cut and dry. Honestly, Fnatic Rising, a couple of mistakes in the early stages, particularly from Pride, but overall a convincing win. And we saw Febiven has a favorable matchup, just completely in control of this game. So much priority that allowed Max to take over the map and invade. And then those roams that came out. Pride in trouble, he roams up towards the top side. We see trouble on the boss side of the map. He's there to secure things. Really, this was a big 1v9 mission by the veteran mid laner.
Yeah, that was a great game by Febi on the LeBlanc. It's good to see him return on it. And this is why something we've seen so much recently into the Akali specifically. In the UKLC, I think we've seen it a little bit outside of Akali matchups, but you know, I'm glad to see the LeBlanc return, and Fnatic just look incredibly dominating. Anyway, it's time for us to throw to a break. When we're back, we'll have the analyst desk to break that game down. We'll see you in a moment.